All right, everyone, we're going to go ahead and get started. We're trying to give everyone a couple seconds to get logged in. But really quick, my name is Lindsay Barbeau. I am here representing WACAC, which is the Wisconsin Association for College Admissions Counseling, which is sponsoring this lovely event in conjunction with StriveScan. So I just have a couple of housekeeping notes, and then I will pass it over to our presenters. So first and foremost, the best way to interact with our presenters is through the Q&A feature. Typically, it's on the bottom of your screen. Sometimes on the top, on the bottom. So throughout the presentation, if you have any questions, feel free to go ahead and submit those in that Q&A, and that is how you can interact with our presenters. Also, just to kind of enhance that a little bit more, all of your cameras and all of your microphones are off. So truly, the only way to interact with our presenters is through the Q&A. So again, super important. And then just a couple of other things. So if you are looking to sign up for additional sessions, you really enjoyed this one, you want to learn more about different schools or just the college search process, you can always sign up for more sessions at wacac.com. So that's WACAC.com. We will have presentations throughout this whole week and next week. And then in a couple weeks, all of the recordings for these sessions will become available again at wacac.com. So without further ado, I'm going to pass it off to the Viterbo team. They can share their screen and get going, and thank you all for coming.
I suppose I should unmute myself. Well, welcome to Viterbo. My name is Hua, and I am one of the admission counselor here at Viterbo. I'm going to go ahead and introduce the rest of my team here. So, Jackie, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself?
Thanks, Hua. Hi, everybody. Thanks for being here today. My name is Jackie Morris. I'm a senior admissions counselor here at Viterbo, and I'm also an alum. And I work primarily with students in the Madison area and South Central counties. So hopefully I get to work with some of you. I'll pass it back to Hua.
Thank you, Jackie. So Abby, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself too?
Hi everyone, my name is Abby Brigham, also admissions counselor here at Viterbo. I'm also an alumni. I graduated here in 2010. My territory is northern Wisconsin, so anywhere up from like Superior over to Green Bay, down to Eau Claire, and out towards like the New Richmond area. So I'm excited that you're here joining us, and hopefully I will also be working with a few of you here. So pass it back over to Hua.
Thanks, Abby. And then last but not least, we have Caitlin.
Hey everyone, my name is Caitlin Losey. I'm the Assistant Director of Admissions here at Viterbo. I have been at Viterbo now a decade, which is kind of hard to think about. It's fantastic to think about too. So just cross that milestone. I work usually with students who are kind of local to the La Crosse area. So our more local students in La Crosse County and the surrounding counties, as well as southeastern Minnesota. And then just in looking at the participants who are here with us so far, I do also work with students who might be military children who are living abroad as well. So I'm pretty excited to see some familiar faces, or not faces, I guess I should say names, in the chat function. Thanks, Sue. I'm going to toss it back over to you.
Awesome. Thank you, Caitlin. I guess I forgot to kind of introduce that part of what I do as well. So I actually work with southeast side of Wisconsin, and then I work for the local La Crosse school as well. And I am also a Viterbo alum. But I'm going to go ahead and get us started. So let's go to the next slide. So Viterbo is located in La Crosse City, which is right along the Mississippi River. The metro area consists of 150,000 people. La Crosse itself is just a thriving college city with a different institution there, but also our downtown area has like coffee shop, local restaurant that it just really attract college students in the community. La Crosse was actually #1 ranked college town in Wisconsin, and we are home of the diocese as well. Next slide, please. So at a glance, this is kind of what I like to say are fun facts about Viterbo. If you were to Google us, this is all the things that come up. And so we are at 100% placement. And we've achieved this multiple years in a row, and we actually have a 98% with students in their field after they're done with us. We're just shy of 3,000 students every year, and that allows for us to have an average class size of 16. We find that the smaller class size really help our students and their growth in both academics and other extracurricular things that they decide to take on campus. We have over 40 academic programs, and then our ratio between students and faculty is 11:1. And then we have over 80 student organizations and clubs. And then a third of our students are actually athletes. And so our faculty and staff are really mindful of students and their needs to perform well in their sports as well. So I'm gonna go ahead and let Jackie take over and talk a little bit about Viterbo's core values.
Great, thanks, Hua. So one of the things that attracts students to Viterbo and one of the things that makes your Viterbo experience and education distinctive would be the way in which we uphold our core values. So you'll hear a lot about contemplation, hospitality, integrity, service, and stewardship. These are core values that we infuse within your core curriculum through our mission seminar courses. Each year at Viterbo, you will delve into these core values and you'll think about how do they relate to you within your own life and your own belief system. And then you'll take these values and think about how can you serve the common good? How can you lead an ethical life? How can you use them while living in a diverse world to help be an agent of change? And so that's a really big part of your Viterbo education and experience, and something that you can take with you for the rest of your life. So these core values really do live out on our campus, not just through our curriculum, but through the hospitality that we provide everyone that comes to our campus and that our students provide. It's a very friendly place where everyone knows everyone quite well. It's a close-knit family here, I would say. And I think it's something that it's a wonderful experience on this campus because of these core values. So it's definitely worth noting. So we can go to the next slide here. Great. So what we have here is a great snapshot of our undergraduate majors. So at Viterbo, we have over 45 majors to choose from. And you can see some of the different pathways there in the light blue color. We're very known for our nursing and our pre-health professions, as well as music theater. We do have one of the top 30 music theater programs in the United States, which we're really proud of. But one of the things that we have a long tradition of is our fields where we serve others. So again, service being one of our core values. You know, our founders, the Franciscan Sisters of Perpetual Adoration, created Viterbo as a place where they fulfilled a specific need. And still today, we continue to do that. In the La Crosse area here, area businesses such as Brennan and Train and Mackey Construction were seeking the need for engineers that not only had the gift of problem solving in math and science, but also the gift of writing well, speaking well, being able to be a team leader and a project manager and leader. And so they really turned to Viterbo to create that program. So engineering is one of our newer programs. I think we're heading into our third cohort here, but we're really proud of the fact that our community turns to us as leaders to help turn out these leaders in these different fields. As we move on to the next slide here. This slide is great because it really touches upon the pillars that help us achieve that 100% success rate that Hua pointed to earlier. Viterbo is hands-on and high impact, and what we mean by that is that we want our students to feel like they are working within the fields that currently as students, they want you to feel like a professional right away. So when you do go out to your first job interview, and when you do go out and present yourself and to be a competitive candidate for that professional school you're looking at or that interview that you're at, we want you to feel like you're presenting the work that you've already done. So in the ways we do that would be through the service learning experiences that I mentioned earlier, whether that be during service in the community or here on campus. You also have research opportunities. This research is conducted and initiated by you with the help of a professor. You're then able to present that research, which again is something wonderful for you to add to your resume and be able to speak about when you are marketing yourself out into the world. In addition to the research opportunities, our students benefit from many internship opportunities. In our School of Business, our business majors are guaranteed at least one paid internship in their time here. And we can see some examples of some of these things here. So Taylor is the young woman at the computer there, and she did an internship with Gunderson Hospital, which is here in the La Crosse area. That internship turned out to be a job for her. She does the voiceovers for many of the training videos turned out there. And then on the bottom picture there, we see one of our professors who is helping one of our students who is interested in forensic science conduct her research with the Onalaska Fire Department. So that was a really, really cool thing for her to be able to do and then present to her community. So all of these things are the reasons why we believe we have that 100% placement rate. So with that, I will turn it over to Abby.
All right, so this is one of my favorite topics to talk about is student life. And over on the left-hand side, you'll see some of my personal pictures from when I was a student at Viterbo. The top left-hand corner, those are some of the girls that were on my floor in Bonaventure. We have 2 freshman dorms, which I'll talk about a little bit later. The middle picture is when we went to Biloxi, Mississippi, and we helped out when Hurricane Katrina hit, and we spent a week down there over spring break. So there's opportunities to do mission work at Viterbo. And so I got to meet a lot of other students through other different programs when we went down there. So we took a bus down there and spent a lot of time just helping out in the community down there. And then the bottom left picture is a few of friends and I, and we are at Courtyard Carney, which is a fun festival that takes place at the end of the school year during finals week to help students celebrate their successes, graduation, or maybe they're going on into their last year at Viterbo. So we're down there just celebrating good times together. And with that comes a variety of different clubs and organizations to be a part of. As you can see on the slide here, just tons of stuff to be involved with. I was part of the art club at Viterbo, and then I was also in intramural programs. We have a study abroad opportunities for students. And if you don't know, Viterbo comes from Viterbo, Italy. And so cool thing with that is that we have a study abroad partnership with Viterbo, Italy. So you could jump on a plane and head out there and check that out. And again, volunteering. I know a lot of professors and faculty always encourage our students to volunteer, whether it's in the community or maybe it's doing a mission trip. And I mentioned intramurals, we have rec sports. You can check out a game going on at our Varsity Athletic Center. And even just the La Crosse area itself has a lot going on. So there's always some sort of music event happening or an art event happening. So lots to check out as a student here at Viterbo. And part of that, if being involved, is partaking in a sport. So going to college, you can still manage doing a sport and doing your academics. And Viterbo does really well with that. They want students to have their experience and be set up for success. So you can participate in one of these athletic sports here and still manage your studies on top of that. I had a lot of friends and family go through the different programs here and were able to do both through 4 years here through Viterbo. So you can see here the many different athletic sports that we have. And there is opportunities for scholarships if you do a sport here at Viterbo. So that's something too to take note of. But hopefully maybe one of these sparks some interest. And if it does, we would definitely try to connect you with a coach and talk more about what that could look like here at Viterbo University. So apartments and dorms and, you know, all the different housing, what is the freshman look like here? So we have 2 halls here, Bonaventure and Marion Hall, are 2 freshman dorms. And after that, you can graduate to the apartments here on campus. So freshmen and sophomores are required to live on campus. After that, you can decide if you want to live off. I lived on campus for 4 years, and so there's a lot of pros to that. The convenience of it, especially during the winter months. Going to and from your apartment to your classes is an average from 5 to 10 minute walk. So it definitely saves some time and also to help not from freezing from the winter months. So after freshman year, you can see I have listed a few apartment complexes, McDonald, Rose, Claire, and some other ones we have available. I lived in McDonald for a year and I lived in Rose for 2 years. And so usually after your freshman year, you're gonna make some friends and then you get together and say, hey, let's go in an apartment together. And then you can choose an apartment and have your roommates and go from there. The nice thing with that is everything is kept within the university, so you don't have that headache of trying to find a subleaser, or if one of your roommates decides to leave or something like that. Everything is done within the university, so that also helps to manage any troubling that comes up too with roommates or things like that. So it's always, there's some really awesome advantages with living on campus. Next slide here is about resources. So we have a variety of different resources for our students. And I will tell you, I'm not a math person, I'm not a science person, hence why I went into the arts. And so I took advantage of our tutoring services here at Viterbo, which is found in our Academic Resource Center. And if that's your strong point, then you could actually tutor a student and get compensated for it. So they work with, you know, if you need a quiet place to study, if you have to do a makeup test, you work with a tutor and they work with your schedule. And so it's really nice, and everyone communicates with that to making sure you're being successful in the classroom. We do have a nurse on campus, so you can utilize her services if you don't want to go to any of our hospitals in La Crosse. We do have Mayo and Gunderson. They're some of our next door neighbors here, so super convenient to have some really awesome hospitals in the area. Mental health counselors are here and available. We also have Caribou Coffee and Einstein Bagels here too at Viterbo. So if you're not a coffee drinker now, I will tell you, you will become one very fast, because you will be up studying late some nights and coffee comes in hand. So yeah, these are a variety of different resources we have, and again, this is all included in your education here at Viterbo, so there's no additional fees that come with that. And going into that, I'm going to turn over to Caitlin. She's going to talk a little bit more about cost at Viterbo.
Hey everyone, thanks Abby. Thanks again so much for being here with us today. A little PSA housekeeping announcement. If you do have questions, when I'm completed with the, that was poor English, when I finish the presentation, we will address any questions that you have. So if things are coming to mind as we're talking, feel free to pop those into the Q&A section, and either one of my colleagues will go ahead and address those and maybe gently interrupt me, or I will work to answer those questions when we have finished the presentation. So yeah, like Abby said, you've heard now about maybe what makes Viterbo unique or special, and it's certainly those core values and that Franciscan Catholic identity, and some of the programs that we have really a focus on helping professions and social justice. And you might be wondering, what does that cost? So oftentimes when we're talking about a private institution, that really is the elephant in our virtual room, I guess I'll say, right? Is, can this be affordable for me? Or is this attainable for me? Or maybe you just flat out think that it's not on the front end. Hopefully, because you're here today, that's not the case. But I like to share a story that when I was going off to college, both of my parents had gone to public institutions and really had the, or did not understand that a private institution could be affordable for us. So I'm very open and honest about the fact that my undergraduate degree is not from Viterbo. My master's degree is, and I'm proud of that. But my little brother actually just graduated from Viterbo in spring 2020. And I'm proud of the fact that we were able to really work through, okay, you know what, we can make this affordable for you and for him to attend school at Viterbo and ultimately be successful beyond. So what you're looking at with this slide are our costs for 2020, 2021. So you'll see tuition and fees there, room and board, and our total direct cost of $39,020. What can I tell you about this? First off, room and board is probably going to be pretty darn standard, whether you're looking at Viterbo, whether you're looking at a public institution in-state or out of state. Room and board tends to be pretty stable. So what you're going to see is the variable of cost and tuition. Schools like Viterbo that are private are not state funded or supported in any way. So our total direct cost is going to appear higher. We'd like to call that our sticker price. So it's important to note right on the front end that we do everything in our power to try to make a Viterbo education affordable for you. Whether that be for through scholarships at Viterbo, through scholarships from your local community or high school, and also, of course, from filing the free application for federal student aid, or FAFSA, which if you haven't heard of the FAFSA yet, you certainly will as you get closer to the end of your high school career. So I think it's more important really to focus on that stat in the bottom left of your screen, which is that 98% of our students are receiving some sort of financial aid. So really, nobody's paying that $39,000 price tag. Abby, if you'll go forward a slide for me. This is hopefully a much easier number to look at. So this is a typical net price at Viterbo, and then you'll see the out-of-pocket costs, the two highlighted numbers. So the net price would be the tuition and fees minus any gift aid. So when you're talking about financial aid, we're talking about several different forms of aid, right? We're talking about student loans. We're talking about the potential opportunity for parents to borrow from the Parent Plus loan program. So those are loans that would need to, upon completion of your degree, certainly be paid back. Now there are creative ways to potentially receive loan forgiveness, or students that might do service work might have a portion forgiven. So sometimes our students do take advantage of really having their that service-oriented admission at Viterbo kind of ignites a passion to perhaps do service work upon graduation. So there are certainly ways, creative ways, again, to help cut cost and to make an education at Viterbo more affordable. But gift aid there, that second line, is really what I'd like to focus on. So gift aid is the good stuff, we might call it, what you won't need to pay back upon graduation. So on average, our students are receiving over $16,000 in gift aid. So gift aid could be scholarships, it could be grant programs, both from state or federal sources like the Pell Grant program, as well as Viterbo has some institutional grants as well that are need-based. Whether or not you qualify for work study, you have the opportunity to potentially work on campus. So as an example, I have a program here in the admissions office called our Student Communicator Program, where you get to contact prospective students and talk about your experience. You do not have to have work study for that particular employment opportunity. So work study is need-based, but most students at Viterbo, again, this being an average or typical net price, many of our students do qualify for work study based on need, but if not, that doesn't necessarily mean that you can't work on campus either. So that's how we're getting to that out-of-pocket cost that you're seeing on the bottom of your screen. Abby, if you go forward a slide for me. Kind of the first, let's say, cost cutter or first opportunity for gift aid at Viterbo would be our merit scholarship program. So those of you that are going to be seniors this fall, once you're admitted to the university, and anyone in the future too, so anyone who's admitted to Viterbo at some point is going to receive an academic merit scholarship. Academic merit scholarships are based on what you've done in high school. So I like to tell students it's basically a nice little reward for having done well in high school and doing the things you were supposed to do. Our scholarships range from $10,000 per year to $15,000 per year. So certainly no small chunk of change there. That $15,000 is nearly half of, well, more than half of your tuition cost alone. So the way that we award these scholarships is going to be based on either your ACT, SAT, and cumulative GPA, or just your cumulative GPA. And I'll talk in just a little while here about Viterbo's new test optional policy. So the other thing that I can tell you about these scholarships is that they are renewable. Renewable scholarships are important because that means that that's funding that you can count on for the next 4 years at Viterbo. So if you get the $12,000 Hallmark scholarship as an example, you can count on having that $12,000 scholarship each year that you're here at Viterbo. And Viterbo does really work to make sure that the balance of our scholarships are renewable. So I'd like to draw your attention to that website at the bottom of the screen, viterbo.edu/affordable. So again, think Viterbo's affordable when you're headed there. And that site will really lay out for you some of what we've gone through today in terms of cost, in terms of actual typical costs, so not that sticker price that might be a little scarier. And then also all of our scholarship opportunities for our incoming freshman students. So Viterbo has done, I think, a really fantastic job of making scholarships easy to apply for. Abby and I together actually coordinate scholarship awarding in the office. So if you have any questions, you can reach out to us at any point. But we have one scholarship application. So you will fill out one form. You'll send us a couple of letters of recommendation. So think about who's going to say fantastic things about you. And we will use those in that scholarship application process, as well as an essay. And then we do the work on our side to see what you might be eligible for. So as an example, there are scholarships that are very academic interest given, perhaps for a particular major. An example of that, we do have $2,000 per year scholarships for students in engineering, for students in criminal justice, for students in a new major we call ethics, culture, and society. And those are just a few examples. So there are academically driven scholarships, as well as scholarships for special talent like athletics or theater or music. And then there are some competition scholarships as well. So if anyone here is interested in our nursing program or in health sciences, two areas that Viterbo certainly is well known for, there are actually competition scholarships that award a significant amount of funding on the health science side, the potential for full tuition, and on the Nightingale side, the potential for up to $6,000 per year. The really good news here too is that funding can actually be stacked upon what you're looking at. So if I'm a presidential scholar, I've got $15,000 per year, but I'm also an engineering major who might be awarded one of those engineering scholarships. Now I'm at that $17,000 mark. So you can see that certainly a little work on your end and some help with us, we can get that cost down to an affordable level for you. Abby, if you can go forward for me. I do want to talk more specifically about that senior timeline. Again, I know that we might have some juniors, maybe we even have some sophomores and freshmen in our virtual room today, which is fantastic. The earlier that you can get started on this process, I think certainly the better. But for those of you that are seniors, you have lots of time too to still think through options as well. So Viterbo's application did open back on July 1st. Again, I'm recognizing some of the names certainly in our participant or attendee window today. So I know some of you have already applied to Viterbo, which is awesome. And then from there, we're going to need some documents for you for admission. So we do require high school transcripts. We're going to be looking at your cumulative GPA on a 4.0 scale for admission to the university. And then I mentioned earlier, hinted that Viterbo has gone test optional for both fall 2021 and 2022 and the corresponding spring semesters. And that's really a way for us to be flexible for students. We are literally living through a global pandemic right now, hence the awkward Zoom webinars that we're all subject to multiple hours a day. And Viterbo has always been a place that is going to meet students where they're at and be as flexible as possible. So some of the questions I've had this spring were, what happens if I've got pass fail on my transcript instead of a particular grade? As an example, we require chemistry for nursing. Now what happens if I've got a P for pass instead of having, a B or an A? Viterbo is going to be as flexible as we absolutely can be. We might have to ask some additional questions about that virtual learning experience or how the end of the year happened for you, but it's not ultimately going to make or break your admission to Viterbo. The other thing that I want to recognize out loud is that we know that test scores might not be and are probably not the best indicator of success for you moving forward and really to judge your college readiness. So we know that there might be better indicators. There probably are better indicators like your high school career. What sort of classes have you taken? Have you taken college readiness courses like AP or IB curriculum, or you've tapped out, perhaps all of the math classes at your school and you're wanting to be an engineer? So we're looking at you really holistically, and we know that test scores are probably not the best indicator of your success beyond high school. So we're removing some of the weight there. Hopefully some anxiety can fall away too if you know that you don't have to seek another test date or something like that. When you're applying to Viterbo, you're simply going to choose if you want us to consider your test scores or not. If you do not want us to consider test scores and you're going to apply test optional, then we will be basing that admissions decision on your high school curriculum, your class rank, any other additional information that you can tell us is helpful as well. So while a personal statement and letter of recommendation is not required, your admissions counselor may reach out to you and ask for those items, and you're certainly more than welcome to supply them before we ask as well. Anything to get to know you, that's what we want in that file. So the other question that I've gotten frequently is, oh my gosh, I sent my test scores to you back in March. They're maybe not what I wanted them to be, or they're definitely not an indicator of, you know, where I think I'm at in terms of being ready for college. That's okay. So you can reach out again to your admissions counselor and just say, hey, I really would, you know, prefer that those test scores are not used in my admissions file. That's fine. We're not going to hold that against you in any way that we have test scores on file. 2 other notes on the test optional policy. Our nursing program, if anyone here is interested in nursing, is actually going test blind. So what that means is our nursing program will no longer be using test scores at all for entrance to the professional nursing sequence, which happens your sophomore year. And any of us would be happy to chat individually with students. If you're interested about nursing, just reach out to us and we can go through that process in more detail with you. In addition to that, you know, the test optional policy being for 2021 and 2022, perhaps will get extended beyond that as well. But that's what I can tell you today, is that you do have that option for both 2021 and 2022 to be considered for admission without test scores. You will also still be eligible for other scholarships beyond merit. So there are still a few things that we're figuring out in terms of different scholarships that previously had test score requirements, but rest assured that you're going to have all of the same opportunities as your peers that might have a test score on file with us. This is a great kind of first look at Viterbo. I'm certainly excited that you're hanging with us for the full 45 minutes today. I know that we're all experiencing Zoom fatigue and this virtual fatigue. So thank you for bearing with us and learning a little bit more about Viterbo. But a couple of other exciting opportunities. We do virtual sessions all the time with just us, not you know, through WACAC or a different organization. So if you ever want to be on an awkward Zoom call again with one of us, feel free to just reach out. We're always happy to have a conversation. Certainly phone, email works great too. And we are actually allowing in-person visits on campus. So if you live in a vicinity where you're able to make the trek over to campus, we would absolutely welcome you with all of that Viterbo hospitality and show you our academic buildings. At this time, we're not able to show you our residence halls, but we do have a video that we can share with everyone who was here today after the fact to give you a little taste of what those res halls look like as well. The other deadlines here or dates that you're seeing, we will walk through those as we go. So oftentimes during visits, I see people frantically writing down what dates they need to remember or the things that I'm saying. And I think it's important to note that we will be in touch throughout this entire year. So Abby, Jackie, who and I are not scary people. We are here to help you every step of the way. I love when the students that I work with succeed and end up enrolling at Viterbo. And it's one of the best feelings to watch you graduate 4 years down the line as well. So reach out to us with questions as we go, but know that we will remind you about the FAFSA or, hey, we haven't seen your FAFSA yet. Are you planning to file? We will reach out and let you know which scholarships you specifically qualify for. So you don't have to do all of that research on your own. Certainly it's a good idea to start doing that research now and kind of finding what opportunities might fit for you specifically, but we are here to help with that additionally. So if you're feeling like Viterbo is the right place for you at some point, we would invite you to submit a deposit and housing contract. Abby gave you, again, a little preview of what the student life stuff looks like. And when we follow up with you, I will go ahead and include that housing video as well. Viterbo does refund deposits up until May 1st. So May 1st is what we call the National Candidate Reply Date. Really just a fancy title for us to say, hey, that's the date by which we would really like to know, if possible. Viterbo can be a little flexible here, being a smaller school, but what are you thinking? So May 1st of your senior year, generally students have made obviously decisions prior to that, but we've got until May 1st to confirm attendance. Abby, if you'll move forward, our last slide here. Like I said, we're not scary people. We are here to answer questions. We're here to help you through every step of that process to celebrate the successes you have through your senior year, and certainly the successes that we hope you'll have here at Viterbo. So I do invite you to stay in touch with us. This isn't specific contact information for the 4 of us, but when we follow up with you, we will provide that, and you can get to us really by reaching out to the general admissions line too. So the phone, we do text if that's more comfortable or easier for you. Shoot us a text. We will respond as quickly as we can. And I would invite you too to check us out on social media. Abby and another colleague, Ellie, do a fantastic job of collating our Viterbo Bound Instagram. So that's an admissions specific account. I'd encourage you to both follow that one as well as the @Viterbo University account. You can get a pretty good window into what life as a VHawk looks like really on any of these social media apps. And we do have our own Viterbo app too. So that's another way to begin connecting perhaps with your future classmates. There's a class of, oh gosh, we're looking at 2025 already. So class of 2025, so you can begin connecting with students who are also considering Viterbo for fall 2021 and beyond. With that, I'm going to end the presentation, but invite any questions that people have. We're here until 4:45 to answer anything that you might have kind of stewing in your brain as you're thinking about this whole college search. So I'll continue monitoring the Q&A. And we're open books. So between the four of us, we've got 3 alums of Viterbo. Well, I guess we're all alums. I do have my graduate degree from Viterbo, but 3 who lived that undergraduate experience, and certainly a wide breadth of knowledge and expertise. You guys are quiet.
Now there's 4 of us, so we're going to just stare everyone.
I appreciate the moral support.
I mean, if we, do we have a question? Yeah.
So there's a question about athletic scholarships. So Viterbo is NAIA affiliated rather than NCAA. I think when we think about college athletics, we oftentimes gravitate towards thinking about NCAA, like March Madness. That's certainly where my non-athletic brain goes. But Viterbo being NAIA means that we do have scholarship funds for athletics, unlike a Division III NCAA Division III school. NAIA scholarships at Viterbo are not going to be full rides. You know, we're talking about kind of a wide range. It varies a little bit by support and what sort of fundraising different coaches have done. I personally, in my 10 years at Viterbo, have seen scholarships range from $250 a year to $10,000 a year. So really it's a conversation that you should have with the coaching staff of the particular sport that you're interested in. And they're pretty open and honest about if they're going to have a spot on the team for you and what they might be able to offer in terms of financial aid. Does anyone have anything to add there?
No, I think you hit it spot on.
Cool. We had another question about scholarships, in particular if there are any scholarships for individuals with mental or physical disabilities. One that I know off the top of my head, we do have a scholarship for students with visual impairment, just as an example. That's an incoming student scholarship. Otherwise, there are scholarships for continuing students as well. So there may be scholarships there that I'm not personally aware of. And I would say as well that keep in mind the support services at Viterbo, that if you will need any sort of accommodations, whether it be in class or to participate in other facets of student life, that we do have our ADA coordinator, Jane Eddy, on campus who would love to meet with family or student individually to talk through what those needs might be. But really the best place to go for scholarships is going to be that viterbo.edu/affordable page. That is just incoming scholarships, but from there you can kind of launch and go look at scholarships for continuing students too. That was my launch symbol there. I got excited there when we got a couple of questions. I thought maybe they were going to stream in.
Anyone have anything else they want to add? Anyone want to share what they're most excited about going on to college? What you're looking forward to?
I can give a little PSA as well. Obviously, continue watching for the other sessions this week with StriveScan and WACAC. There's a really full, robust schedule. Viterbo will be participating in a couple more panels. Tomorrow, we have a panel with Rick Walters, who's one of our theater faculty members, and 2 other institutions, Carthage College here in Wisconsin, as well as Hope College in Michigan, to talk about the differences in BA, BFA, and conservatory theater and music theater programs. So Jackie mentioned that we have one of the top 30 musical theater programs in the country. So that is a good session to sit in on if you're thinking about performing arts at all. And then we will also participate in a panel with, I believe it's Cardinal Stritch and Alverno, September 2nd. And I believe that one is at 5 p.m. And that one will be focused on finding your specific fit. Because when you're looking at a college, you're both looking for that academic major, but you're also looking, you know, for all the stuff that Abby talked about and Jackie, and where you're going to feel good and feel at home. Caitlin.
Hello, everyone. I'm going to sneak back in. If you guys have questions, I am just going to do a couple closing remarks. So I'm quickly just going to share my screen. Perfect. So as Caitlin just said, great PSA, because we would love for you to join us for other sessions. We do have 2 weeks of this. This is day 2 of the 2 weeks. So more sessions at wacac.com, again, wacac.com. And that's also where you'll eventually be able to find the recording, so that will be there. And then as you are exiting the webinar, you will be asked for there will be a little survey that pops up with 4 questions. So we just really recommend that you fill out that survey. It helps us improve events like this. So I'm just going to check the Q&A one more time. If not, we will let you go and enjoy the rest of your evening. So thank you to our panelists. Let me just check that Q&A. Looks like we're good. So again, thank you to Viterbo and all our panelists, and enjoy the rest of your evening.